All right, well, it's 6:30. So I will call the meeting to order.
All right, now I just have to tell you, don't forget, I had cataract surgery on one eye. So my right eye is distance and my left eye is close. And so I get confused. I have to kind of look. I mean, as of November the 2nd, I won't be stereo vision anymore. Right now I am. What a pain in the but
All right. So we have, I'll call the meeting to order, 6:31 p.m. October 19th, 2023. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternative means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting are being recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. There we go.
okay.
So we have 3 agenda items with 1 continuance. First up is Mr. Lynch, 224 South Street, who we've seen recently, back for some hardscape stuff. And then we have Jillian and Michael Sullivan of 20 Middle Street. So for those 2 new items, if we can have Catherine, Carol, myself, Eric, and Justin as the voting members. And I didn't do this ahead of time, and I apologize. For our last agenda item, 32 Middle Street, I just wanted to confirm that was Catherine, Carol, Justin, Eric, and myself also. That was at the last meeting, and also I pointed to that agenda item, correct?
Yep.
All right, great, thank you. So we'll keep the our regular voting members for all 3 agenda items tonight. So first up is Mr. Lynch, who I see. Do you want me to share? I have your documents, or do you want to share?
Oh, feel free, and good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
So Mr. Lynch's proposal is for a boulder on his front or in the front elevation along South Street. Let me just share. Andrea, can I share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to.
I am disabled.
Ooh. All right, let me try this again.
Do you want to make me co-host, actually?
Yeah. Wait a minute. All right, I have to do that, but this should work right now.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, good.
So take it away, Mr. Lynch.
All right, good evenings. So yes, I think Lisa at Corrado Masonry did an excellent job with this mock-up. The idea is simply a traditional New England stone wall in a dry stack style. I specified on the application that I'd like to have the wall start at the 8-foot mark approximately from each property line edge. Reason being, on the left side, sewer access is present. We've got that painted off after the upgrade. So no reason to put an obstacle in that way should we need to go back in. Let's hope we don't ever. And on the right side, there is a lovely elm that has taken root and come in well inside my property lines, and I'd like to support its growth, but pretty simple. That's about what we're looking at there in that style. Thank you for scrolling. I included some inspirational photos as requested last time. Pretty simple. I do like specifically this angled edge on the left example as a way to start versus the center idea, which sort of comes from the grade and goes up. I like sort of an angled or hard start, if you will. And that's pretty much that. Just a little history. We've had a lot of cars go through the fence. I think 6 total over the years cars went through the fence that we had. and ended up on the lawn. So I'm looking to prevent that. Um, yes, yes, not all were catastrophic. 3 were, but we had some folks say hello that way, and we'd like to avoid that later. So yes, and in the meantime, since we met last, the kind folks at Nantasket Engineering completed a survey of the property. Everything is essentially everything matches legally as is marked. There were some very durable old granite markers and rods, and he found them all. And so the purpose of this, purpose of the 2 panes here on the survey is just to indicate that that's where the wall should be. He marked it roughly, or I think exactly, 6 inches inside the front property line so as to not interfere with town snow removal. And there's a bit of a rise to the land where the front walkway is, which will require some, I think, minor insetting and excavation. And then it will go fully freestanding, clear on front and back as we move to the right side. So that's about that.
Great. All right. Catherine, do you have any questions?
Yeah, a couple questions. On the plan, it's sort of hard to visualize where the sidewalk is and the road frontage. So it's hard to see
Yes.
how far off the sidewalk the stone wall starts.
Yes. So there is no walk specifically there. And yeah, that rendering is a little bit strange in that it kind of puts the grass going on forever.
Mm-hmm.
What I know is that the rest of the fence around the property exactly matches the property line markers. So if you, I don't know if you've toured the property recently, but there still is about a 6 foot, maybe a 4 foot section of fence remaining on the extreme right side. And from that to the tar is about 6 feet of grass, about 2 mower passes, 2.5 mower passes. I have that memorized. And so that's really all I know in terms of how, where the grass stops and where my property line stops and where the sidewalk might be, should there be one. And as I was part of the Bishop's Lane conversation, I understand that South Street may be getting more curbing over the years.
So 2 mower widths between the wall and the sidewalk. Was there a sidewalk on your side, or was it just?
No, just grass.
Yeah.
Just grass, then to road. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
All right. And then I guess I need a little clarity on the angled start, meaning more of a retaining wall versus the stones following the grade of the sloped.
I think that's a good way to put it. I think if we look at that first photo that's representative, I would say that that is the most appealing to me visually, in that it starts with essentially a square natural stone, essentially, versus having small stones pile up to height. It would start at a 90, as much as the natural form of the stone would allow. But yes, like that, where the cursor is.
And then the stones in the left photograph and the stones in the far right photograph are really different. So are you picturing more of a fitted, the stones are fitted together, or more of a loose New England, the rocks are just sort of chucked there because we cleared the field look?
It's a great question. I do like, that's a good point. So I would actually, aesthetically, I would merge the left and the right photos, because I do like a dry stack New England wall versus something that looks like it's mortared, but it isn't,
And then my only other thought is just I do understand it's a safety concern with the 6 cars going into the front yard, I'm wondering if it's a little awkward to have the stone wall be sort of truncated on both ends like that. It feels a little, especially if it's a square, it squared off, it just feels a little maybe random or something. Just sort of
Okay.
stuff. That's my only concerns.
All right. Like it doesn't fit the full property sort of thing.
Yeah, that we just sort of doesn't really, yeah. It just seems like it's not quite all the way to one side and not quite all the way to the other, but I can't really figure out, unless you knew about the septic and the tree, that maybe, I just didn't really see it's hard to visualize what the purpose might be of the shortness of it.
All right.
Like it's a gesture of a wall, but not a full wall.
Right. Do you have a suggestion? Would you like to see it extend extreme left side?
I'm open to suggestions. I don't think you should pile rocks on top of your sewer access. That does seem, counterintuitive, but maybe it does go to the property line on the right, or as far as it can go, or just short of the tree. I don't know how many feet between that and the tree.
That was my idea. Yeah, to get just as close to the tree as I could.
Okay.
Because I think site-wise, when you're coming towards town from the country club, I think what'll happen is the stockade fence that exists will block essentially the beginning view of the wall, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have that stuff. The stockade fence in this.
That was removed for the sewer upgrade, correct?
And you're putting that back?
Nope.
No.
I wasn't planning to.
Yeah. Oh, but it exists on the right.
It exists on the right, and it will. Well, let's see. So the fence that faces South Street will go away. I could also I do have more fence. I could also make that right angle out to 6 feet if you would like. I had thought about that. So what you're seeing could be, because all the fence is new and it ends right now just at this post and does not continue on South Street or facing the road. So right now that front face is gone. And the idea was to not replace it. And I'm open to making that corner complete if you'd like.
Does that make sense to others?
Well, yeah, let's go through the other comments. Anything else, Catherine?
No, that's good for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Justin, do you have any comments?
Yes, I think that the wall as presented, truncated as it is, falls within, I think it's fair to call it an appropriate proposal. And I recognize what Catherine's talking about with the wall ending before the corner, but I would think it's it well serves the neighborhood to let the homeowner decide how to treat that corner and be as kind as possible to the tree. And I'm happy to, I would say, leave it up to the homeowner, the exact detail of that finishing of the corner.
Thank you, Justin. Eric, do you have any comments?
No, I just would reiterate Justin's comments. I think it's a nice proposal and appropriate, and any three of those options I feel like are appropriate. There's maybe preference to one or the other, but I think all are acceptable in my opinion.
Dare say inspiring stone walls as is on the application.
Carol, do you have any feedback?
Yes, I'm concerned about the first time I come to visit you for a cocktail party and I park my car out on South Street. I'm going to have to step over the fence, or do you suppose people will go down to your driveway and in that way? Or it almost feels like it needs an opening to me in the middle, but it's not that long, so maybe not. But
Thank you. That is certainly a concern, a consideration. And yes, you're welcome for any cocktail party we have.
BYO, I know.
You know,
Work that into the motion.
yeah.
There we
I will say that, especially during the move, I mean, I've been aware of the increased volume of traffic on South Street, you know, my whole life. But when I had to have moving trucks in the driveway and I chose to park along South Street, I considered it to be dangerous. I would actually not advise anyone park there, and I wouldn't mind a parking prohibition if the town would like. You know, I just don't think it's usable land for cars.
You could work on that, yeah. My only thought was, I really find the little picket fence to be very distractive. And when you look at the old picture of the house and then the one you're presenting us with the new stone wall to go in, all the other shrubbery has kind of come out. And what a difference that makes. It really exposes the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so fabulous. And then to have nothing but that plain stone wall and a little burning bush on the side, very pretty. So I would just say, you know, as you're showing it cleaned up, it's just beautiful. I wouldn't change anything.
Thank you. It really was something to see the junipers go
Yeah.
during the sewer job. It's sort of a still breathtaking, you know.
It is, yeah.
Carson, I had one question of, and maybe I missed it. I just didn't see a height on the wall.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and that's a good point because we had brought up height before, Catherine. I believe you did. And I had suggested 3 feet in my first proposal, and we wanted to circle back to that. I think there was a concern that it not exceed 2 feet. And I understand that because we don't want it to overpower the look of the house. I would ask that we perhaps approve not to exceed 3 feet, that language, just because I'm thinking about the safety of it and also the random nature of the material.
Plus a 2-footer might stop a car.
Yeah,
For protection.
I'm comfortable with the 3 feet, but if anybody else has comments, Steve, I know you were on the train, so if you're good, just give me a thumbs up. All right, good. Josh, do you have anything to add?
I don't, beyond echoing Carol and Eric in particular.
Okay. And Marianne, sorry.
I don't have any comments. I just think everybody said what I would have thought to say.
Okay. Are there any abutters that wish to comment? Okay, so is anybody opposed to language of saying 3 feet maximum and then up to the discretion of the homeowner, or do we want to go 2'6", or are we comfortable with 3?
Let's say 3.
Okay. In that case, is there any interest in a motion?
I'll make that motion. I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for 224 South Street, located in the Hingham Lincoln Phase 2 Historic District, per photos, plot plan, narrative, submitted with the application dated 6 October 2023, work to include construction of an approximately 3-foot tall, dry stacked boulder wall across the front elevation of the property along South Street.
Second.
That is a second by Carol. Any discussion? Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me. So your motion passes and you have a certificate of appropriateness. Thank you, Mr. Lynch. I have a feeling we might see you again in the future.
It's true that you might, and I thank you all. I have one quick question, if I might just take just one more second. As I prepare to explore the Greenbush grant, which application process begins in the spring, and I realize that these are paid reimbursement funds, so the work would proceed first. I've educated myself as best I can about it. My question is, does my house qualify? What is the right-of-way / corridor definition for Greenbush?
I can answer that.
Thank you.
Do you want me to go ahead? All
I
right.
was gonna say, if it's quick, just because we're on time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it does qualify. And I just want to make it clear that the work cannot begin until it is approved. Whatever you submit as far as the application for a project, you can't begin until until you receive a grant and a hearing. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. It was very
Thank you
helpful.
very much. I appreciate that.
Good luck.
Enjoy your night all.
Andrea, are you just in general, so I know also, I know you're on that committee. Are you the best resource in town for that, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
Have a good night all. Thank you.
All right, next up is Jillian and Mike Sullivan, 20 Middle Street. I believe Sean Papich and the Sullivans are with us.
Hi.
Hi there.
I will share my screen for you, Sean.
Thank you.
So this is for some fencing and driveway modifications and some existing deck modifications. I'll let you run through it on the screen. Just a couple sheets. I assume, Sean, you're going to run with this?
Yeah, I can run with it.
Great. Thank you.
Keep for pulling that up. I appreciate it, Dan.
Yep.
Sean Papich Landscape Architecture, 222 North Street in Hingham, Massachusetts. So, and the Sullivans are on there. I did see their faces on one of the boxes here to my right. And at any point, if they want to jump in, they can certainly do that or ask questions of them, certainly. First part of the proposal is there's an existing asphalt driveway. You can see it in the pictures. You can see it on the plan. Thank you, Dan. And you can see in the dash line where it is now. We're trying to expand it. A couple different reasons. One is when you're trying to, when you park in the whole neck there of the driveway, it's you really can't get a car out. And it's, their house is a little bit different in that what you've got is the driveway and the garage. Part of the garage is tucked right behind the house. So, and the driveway is pretty narrow. So that little parking area to the left is very difficult. The parking area to the left also serves as recreation for the kids, which is very important, especially on Lincoln Street, as challenging as that is. So the intent is to expand that parking toward the street, still have the same shrub border that they have right now, some new shrubs that go in there, and essentially a small extension of the existing wall, matching the existing, just to take the grade in that location. So in terms of that area, that's really just a driveway expansion. We intended to also do some cobbler granite slab apron as you enter into the property off of the street. Thank you, Dan. And then the fence element is there because of the proposed pool. And what we are hoping to use, don't be alarmed by the dark fence picture, or the really dark fence picture, I should say. So in the front in red, what is highlighted in red, we are proposing to go with the board fence with English lattice topper. And then along the rear property line, there is an existing stockade fence that we believe is the neighbor's. And we were needing to, legally we have to with a pool have our 6-foot fence there. And so that was just going to be board fence. So I'll be cedar board fence. Returning along there and then returning back to the garage. And between the garage and the house, the intent was to do the tall picket fence. It's a little more open, also in cedar, and we've used that also in the historic district a number of times. So the colors would be to match existing of what we had talked about adjacent on the adjacent property at 16. Probably leaning toward that darker, but not black, not white. So going to one of those grays. The other element that we show on here, there's an existing deck in the rear, and we were proposing to extend and wrap the deck around. Really, that deck will only sit 14 inches above grade. We are proposing that it's either an epay or a composite. We were not sure whether or not composite is acceptable. It is not very visible. I don't think it's visible from the public right of way, but epay is on the left. The two pictures, one in the middle and one to the right is composite. So it's only, again, the deck is 14 inches tall, 2 steps. So it'll be pretty low to the ground. I did add the pictures of the spa area and pool. Those they really wouldn't be visible, I don't think, from the public right of way. And of course, with a fence, they wouldn't be visible. But I put them on there just to make sure you understand that this is what we were proposing for the rear, if it matters. It'll be a stone terrace back there, so it should be appropriate for the historic district if it's necessary for you to see that. We have it on the plan for you. If any questions, certainly answer.
Great, that's helpful, Sean. Appreciate it. Eric, I see you on screen first. So do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one question. I'm just looking at the Google Street View. The driveway when I'm looking at it, doesn't seem to match the site plan here. I just want to understand if I'm correct in that. It looks like the driveway currently extends to the property line right at the garage corner. Is that correct?
I believe there could be some crushed stone over into that area, but the asphalt area that we've got it should be pretty accurate to what you see on the plan. It should be pretty accurate.
When I popped up on Google Maps, it was at the wrong house. So I think it's to the left, the house to the left, Eric. It's got a house that maybe popped up immediately, but it has a brick driveway.
Yeah.
I think
And this one
is that
has a
it with the
brick
asphalt
house.
court?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the asphalt seems to go off the corner of the garage to the property line.
Jillian and Mike were there. If they want to comment on that, I was thinking that our asphalt had actually cut a little shy of that. I might be a little bit off on that. Is that accurate where it's showing it now?
Yeah, it's about, there's like the gravel, there was cobble and gravel. Are we on mute? No. Generally, yes, it is. It's just it's broken up now, and it's all like the gravel sort of is fallen over onto that area, but yes.
Yeah, so what the intent is to not necessarily have that as drivable surface. What the real challenge is trying to get out of there because of the way that pinches in, and there's still an entry on the left-hand side of the house, and that actually has a fair amount of space in front.
So I guess just to clarify Eric's question, this area here in red is currently asphalt. Is that going away?
I believe that's still, didn't you say, Mike, that there's crushed stone there right now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's crushed stone.
Okay, it's crushed stone. Okay. Is that staying crushed stone?
Yeah. There's no intention to have that now.
Okay.
Okay, so that clarifies that. This is just more like a personal preference, but I don't love Epay for the conservation element of it. It's a rainforest wood, and there's some alternatives. So I actually prefer certain composites over it for that result. But I'm not going to stand on a pedestal in that one. But that's just sort of my personal preference. So that's all my questions at this point.
Yeah.
Thank you. Justin, you're next up, I see.
I think as far, I think the proposal is appropriate as far as the deck material. I think from a public right away, you couldn't tell, so I think I'd leave it up to the homeowner. That's it.
Okay. Catherine, you're up next.
My only thought that I had is maybe starting the fence a tiny bit just behind the shrubbery instead of in front of the shrubbery. It provides a little bit more of a view of the home. It lets that house stand proud of the fence rather than having them on the same plane. It's a small thought. I don't know if it works for the homeowner or for Sean.
Something like that, Catherine, just to see the corner of the house
Mhm.
reveal.
Exactly.
And then I'll let Carol's waving her hand, so she might
Yeah, I'm on that same thought. I'm wondering, since the 6-foot high fence is because of the pool and the water, What about starting it lined up with the back of your new extension of the terrace? So it's still blocking the pool and the water areas, but it leaves the view of the side of the house open. You're in a kind of a tight neighborhood with houses nearby, and I hate to see you, block off too much of the backyard visually.
It can't start like this though, because this is open and it's only 14 inches, so you'd be able to
No,
walk.
I meant at the back, all the way at the back.
Oh, cross like this?
Yeah, no, straight, yeah. What would that do?
We would have to find another place for, it would also put the deck area in the front, kind of almost in the front yard.
Wouldn't there have to be a gate then here?
It's not moving anywhere. Leave the deck the same, but just fence off.
No, you'd have to gate this because anybody could walk across their deck and back to the pool.
You'd have to have a gate all the way across the back, in the middle of the backyard there at the edge.
Yeah.
6 feet tall, so.
And you don't like gates or something?
What's that?
What's the matter with a gate?
Well, 6 foot tall fence kind of coming off of the deck, between the deck and the pool is. Really not. Yeah.
Is what? Finish your sentence so I get what you're saying.
What's that?
I didn't hear the end of the sentence.
So
Yeah, I think you'd be staring at the fence on your deck.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like
It just wouldn't work.
Yeah. There's an intention at some point to move the bulkhead to the side yard, which again, it'll be low visible. Whether or not that can be aligned with that fence, the fence may need to bump still a little closer to the front yard.
Oh, that's a bulkhead?
Ultimately, there will be a bulkhead going there. But we just have to see what the final design of that is. It's not there yet.
Okay, well, we don't normally allow a 6 foot fence attached up near the front of the house. That's been around forever. So we try to keep it in the back as much as possible on the sides of the property, but not anything that will block off the view of the first floor of the old part of the house. So this will do that. Is there anything else you can think of that would still work, but
not in this situation with the way they're proposing the deck area? I think that sliding it back the way it's on there now in red, unless Mike and Jillian have a question about that or an issue with that, I think that's a pretty nice compromise to open up that corner. But I wouldn't, it would be similar to what we have and on the adjacent property on the right-hand side of the house, where we have it at the front corner.
John, I am having a little trouble because of anybody I know, you do the most elaborate and wonderful, accurate plans. I'm not complaining, but on this page with all the pictures on it, the upper left corner is the front of the house that we're looking at. From that angle, we can't see that the house isn't straight across, that it jig-jags in like that. Is that an add-on? Is that a part of the original house? Maybe I'm making a fuss over absolutely nothing.
Well, on the right-hand side of that, the right picture.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, it's an addition.
I haven't seen that one.
That's comes off there. That would still sit back of where we had shown it on the corner. That would still sit back.
So we were just showing that fence being somewhere back on this part. So this would be all exposed, and then the fence would be going.
Yeah, that makes more sense now that I see that picture. So would you try to go back behind that first window, at least leave part of it exposed?
That's a discussion. Yeah, that's the discussion you were just talking about and what had been marked on there. I don't know how Mike and Jillian feel about it. They're right there. Mike and they can both.
We're open to anything. I think the thing that we talked about with Sean was sort of revealing that corner.
Right.
Which it seems was the first thing that we were after in discussion. The other thing that we're mitigating is we have AC condensers that we are currently run along the side of the house that we are sort of work in concert with the relationship of the deck and the bulkhead.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be AC condensers and then the fence. So right now the plan is to run the AC condensers just outside that window. So the idea was to put the fence on the street side of that, so the street doesn't have to look at AC units.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
And that's,
So-
just, and as long as we can reveal the corner, we've got like even if we have a foot back there, we can pull it
Right.
and reveal that corner and
Yeah.
still not be at that window. And that might be kind of the sweet spot.
But you've exposed the main corner, the jig-jag, which
Right.
Sean, can you tell, is that part of the original house or is that an add-on?
I don't know for sure. Carol,
It's
that's a good question. I don't know for sure. I know that a lot of work was done with that 2 owners ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Gene Raymond would work on that.
Yeah.
But I think that piece had been there still for quite a long time. But I don't know for sure. It's a good question.
And Dan, are you driving the red markup? What
Yeah.
would you think about that fence exposing what's, I'll call a little sunroom on the corner? Maybe the fence going right through what looks, I would move, oh, that's the sunroom.
That's the sunroom right here.
Ah, got it. All right. I was mixed up there. Yep.
Would be good.
Not a problem. All right, so Catherine, we kind of got through your first comment. Do you have anything else to add?
Just that then the shrubbery on the left of the driveway would be moving, the bank of shrubbery would be moving forward approximately how many feet?
It would be new plants. We'd probably go with new plants coming forward. Essentially coming forward.
So
About
extending the driveway, how much more towards the,
driveway out about 20 feet. The challenge is that very narrow driveway turning around, and when you load in, they have to do multiple point turns, certainly.
Yeah, if anyone's looking at the street view, it looks like it would come to the far side of the walkway to the front house.
About that, yep,
To get a visual of it.
correct.
can you pull that up?
So you're wondering how many feet back these are?
Those are the,
Well, I guess I was wondering how much, I guess they're moving forward about 20 feet is what they're moving forward.
the neighborhood. Yeah,
Toward
Yeah,
the
about
side-
20 feet.
Yeah.
18 acres.
Yep. So they're
I-
about 33 feet off the road.
It hits that line at the back edge of the existing walkway to the front door. That's the one that's currently there now, anyway, the brick walkway.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Carol, we'll switch back to you.
On that same, I know you're adding more parking area. What about going behind the present one where you said it's just gravel anyway, instead of coming forward? We don't like to put cars out in front of the house. That's part of what we do. So I know there'll be shrubs, but the next neighbor mows them down or whatever. What about backing behind that, closer to the barn?
It's the turnaround space is what it is. So when you're pulling out of there, we're actually getting more value out of turnaround further away from the garage, right? So the valuable space is a car length back and turning it around. So that's where we get challenged, certainly.
I don't honestly understand that. I'm trying to, but it looks wider back there than it does up in the front to me. So
But
why not make that one big parking area?
But if you're pulling out of there, you can't use that space that's right up against the garage. It's almost like it's a little bit of dead space. If
For what? What is it?
you're turning around, it's kind of dead space right up and next to, because you're not turning into it. That is.
I'm sorry, I don't get it.
what's
Some
that?
driveways don't have the option for turning around. And they're back out driveways.
Yeah, lots of them.
Right. And this would still be very potentially that if there's cars parked in there, so it's still challenged. But we felt like this was still a minor improvement in order for maneuverability, and still place also for recreation too.
Sean, what is in there now? What's the lavender blue part? What is that?
Lawn area. That's lawn area right now.
That's grass right now.
Yeah, there's a little bit of planting, and there's a little bit of section of wall there in the dash line.
And you want to make it parking.
Yeah.
I still, tell me again why you can't go back to add that instead of forward.
What we're using it for primarily is when you're still coming out right in front of the garage and you're backing, you can turn around and you can get more space to turn it around and back toward the property line and then turn it around so you're face first going to the street.
Okay, I'm in a car and I'm backing out of the garage.
Yeah.
I would back the car to the left
Yep.
and then pull forward.
Correct.
But you've got grass there or something.
We have grass there. Then the other thing was that when a car is still trying to maneuver out, being able to flare a little bit once we come in and get a car past it was essentially the intent on that piece of it also.
So what's going to happen in that little piece of grass as you're coming out of the garage and I want to put my car off to the back, to the left? What is in there now? Just lawn?
You're talking about the blue, what's shaded in blue right now?
No, up above that, next to the barn, at the corner of the barn. Who's
Yeah.
doing the shading right now? Can somebody shade that?
So that's gone to crushed. That's a crushed stone area now that goes to a softscape that goes.
Right, perfect for backing your car into.
Well, some of it is if you're facing the garage and the doors, maybe you have a car parked right in front, which would be typical. If you're backing out and backing out to the left is ideal. When you're if you're backing out into the house, it's more difficult to back out into the house.
Nobody wants to back into the house. They want to back the car and turn it around, right? In that yellow area?
Yeah, but you're not backing into that yellow area. You don't have space to get in there. You don't have a
I would
turn.
say, if you have a car here and you come out, you can't make that. You probably can't make that turn coming out in this way.
That's the whole idea, is that if you can't really turn into that, you might be able to get a little bit of tires toward the bottom of that, but you still have to pull out of the garage to turn it. You can't start turning while you're in the garage, so you can't get into that area.
I'm looking at Google Maps. It looks like the asphalt squares off from right at the garage all the way to the left property line.
Yeah,
And then there's crushed stone to the left of the garage space.
that area was intended to be softscape. There was some crushed stone there, and I believe that more of that asphalt is gone now. Is that what you were thinking, Mike and Julian?
Yes.
So
Whatever the Google map was, whatever that was taken.
someone chopped
So-
out the asphalt. to the
Asphalt
left of the garage.
was removed. With respect to the time that Google drove.
Yeah,
by.
it's just sort of run down and the gravel is sort of fallen out, like come up through the seasons, probably through plowing and over time and all, like the wear on it has blurred those lines a lot since. So
That doesn't extend all the way anymore, what you were saying.
This is October 3rd of this year.
it's there. It's just
Yeah.
like with all the sort of like moving when we arrived, like a lot of the gravel had sort of come off
Get in your
that
bag.
area. So probably beneath that, it's probably still asphalt. I
Okay.
think and the bigger challenge for us has just been the bottleneck of the driveway. It's essentially like 9 feet. And so what we
Right.
get, I'm sorry, Sean.
It's a real narrow driveway, correct? Do we think,
I'm trying to be very sympathetic because we all back out on the busy streets, Main Street and every place else. I've got 3 friends that live on that street and they all back right out onto the street. There's no turnaround. There's no nothing for them. They look both ways and then they back out and go. I'm sympathetic, but it's to move parking of a car out in front of the old house is not what we do. It says, gosh, this isn't an old house. There's a car there. I just think there may be a better way to work that out. It may be not what you're looking to do, but I think more thought ought to go into doing that rather than pulling more parking down towards the street.
I'd also say, Carol, in support of your concerns, that if you look at from the streetscape, moving the shrubbery 20 feet forward on the left is going to change the breadth of the property and make
We
it
can't consider shrubbery either direction though. So just like we
Right.
can't consider shrubbery when it's hiding something, we can't consider shrubbery when it's
right.
coming
That's-
forward.
You're right.
No, but you're saying you're going to move the parking forward. It's
So
not
the
that we
parking's
care
coming
about
20
cars,
20,
yeah.
yeah.
But what we're also saying is that there's a lot more asphalt going in this proposal, a lot of asphalt.
Could I ask a question, I guess, of everyone? Like, is there we obviously want to serve them and serve ourselves, the community. Is there a compromise where this whole turning moves back and maybe, Sean can speak to when that turning radius would be more useful, like say half the, that landscape area. Like, so if we move the turning rate, yeah. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Like moved it back, whatever, 15 feet, would that be useful? And then maybe how the driveway sort of widens pretty early as you get into it, maybe eliminate that and keep the narrower driveway a little further, at least past the existing walkway. So that visual from the street or something, I'm just wondering if there is a compromise that people would be comfortable with, or if it's a hard concern. I just want to see if there's somewhere we can find it.
I think that's a very nice notion. Tell us why that line, is that a stone wall or something? It's not up against your property line, but there's space in there.
Yep, that's existing.
Can that be backed up, or is it a hard stone wall?
Yeah, it's a low stone wall is what it is, Carol. So it's a low stone wall. It comes in turns. And we were talking about extending, but as Dan is drafting kind of a refined version of something like this, and if Mike and Jillian are interested, I think it would make some sense.
Yeah.
I still think that the area that is being represented of the existing driveway isn't accurate, that it squares off with the stone wall to the fence line on the left. So you have a lot of space to the, it just is not represented correctly. If you're trying to get by the cars, so you can have, one car parked and then squidge by it, that's one thing, and you can open up the neck of the driveway a little bit.
Yep.
But there is a lot of existing asphalt there.
Should we have a site visit?
I don't remember looking at this, though.
No, this
Looking at
is
the house.
a new application, and I was just going to recommend, it seems like perhaps the board might benefit by a site visit.
Maybe some cars in the driveways so we can see what the issues are.
Yeah, we'll pull our cars in and then try to get out.
It seems like it's the driveway inside of it. So do you want to keep some improvements or approval going? Do we want to approve the deck and the fence and that stuff, and we'll revisit the driveway? We'll focus on that in a site visit and a future meeting. That way we're keeping the things going that can go.
Yeah.
Is that work, Sean and Sullivan?
Yeah, I think we should do that, and because I think there would be, some questions as to how we would want to modify the driveway, and we can also do that prior to going out and looking at it.
Dan, I'm sorry.
We did want to look at the pool piece from a time frame standpoint, or the fences, because we're trying to get some pool work done this season. We would like to look at that for the fences. If we could look at
that. Let's see how the rest of the comments go, and we'll put a pin on that. Josh, you had a comment?
Yeah, my comment was I'm not quite as concerned. I do think we should limit the increase in asphalt as much as possible, particularly forward of the plane of the house. But I'm still concerned back on the fence. A lot of tall, opaque fences in historic neighborhoods change the character of the neighborhood. And I like the compromise of pushing the fence back if you can. I understand, that you're trying to cover those condensing units. Maybe the condensing units, could be moved. Maybe they end up being forward of the fence, and you hide them with landscaping. But you mentioned the house to the right, which does have the fence coming off that front corner of the house, which I think is unfortunate. But the fence itself is more transparent than I think the 6-foot option that you've proposed. I know Hingham is kind of an outlier and requires 6-foot fences around pools instead of 4-foot, which is something maybe that doesn't benefit the historic nature of the town. But the vertical board fence with the lattice topper, there's not a lot of transparency. You can't see through the fence. It's not friendly, I guess I would say. The existing that's there kind of is historic and neighborly. But that fence that is to the right, while it comes off the front corner of the house, it does, I think, provide maybe a little better precedent for, it looks like maybe the bottom, 2/3, the bottom 4 feet. I don't know if we have it on Google Maps, Google Street
Probably
View.
not yet.
That's is what it is. Yeah, it's a board fence with a picket topper.
That's right. And the top is just, it's less severe. And I might recommend something like that, at least along that front.
And a little less fortress-like.
Sean, did you ever consider, because you have a gate here, and you're going with this vertical cedar picket, and you have a gate here, did you ever consider matching those two?
On the gate or matching the fence? Or
the fence, and then just doing the vertical board fence along down the side, and then without the topper over there.
Yeah, we had not discussed that in terms of that, because I think they like this style.
Okay.
I'd still consider a board, maybe a board with a topper there, with a picket top, perhaps, if they like that style. That would be at least a former version of what is going on between the garage and the house. It's just that they might appreciate a little bit of privacy at the pool. So, board, it'd be similar to what's adjacent to the there's on the edge of the Montero property adjacent, if we went to board with the topper. With a picket topper, I should say.
I had one last comment. I'm agreeing with what Josh said. He really articulated it really, really well. And I'm wondering if the fence, having the decking wrap around the corner of the house, I wonder if the fence could just be at the rear corner of the house. Then the whole house stands proud. The fencing becomes a secondary element. Yeah. And you're not losing that much deck, and then
no angles, no.
Yeah. And the whole the pool is solved, and you're not losing that much deck. You're still getting, your extension in the deck. And actually around that corner, I'm not sure who's going to sit back there anyway. It's not in the mix. So it doesn't seem like a practical place for decking to be on that side of the house.
Could even extend the yellow deck over a little more if they wanted it to be a little bit bigger or something. But
right, to make up for it.
Right, over to the right.
Okay. Justin, do you have any comments?
Other than I'm finding what we're seeing on the screen right now the most appropriate that I've seen so
far. Marion, do you have any comments?
I have one comment about the fence. I just feel that in a historic district, a lighter color is far more appropriate. I think it also goes a long way to defortressifying what could be a fence. And so I just feel quite strongly that a lighter color, if I had my choice, I would say it should match the color of the house, because it then becomes an integral part of the house. But that's my 2 cents.
Steve, give me a thumbs up if you are good. Okay, he's good for now. Okay, so I would say the feedback is pretty strong about the driveway, about trying to minimize how far out it projects to Middle Street, trying to minimize the amount of asphalt as much as possible. I think we either make a site visit or there's some better photos other than what we can pull up on Street View and things like that to better understand the condition and what's going on back there. Or we can do a site visit, either one. And then the fence, there's feedback about exploring other ways to push it back, whether that's pulling it back a little bit and moving bulkheads and condensers, or pulling it back farther and modifying decks, and then trying to minimize the deck appearance on the Mill Street elevation on the side of the house. So I think that's the feedback we have. I think it's a little much and a little muddled to maybe try to get some partial approvals, but if Sean or the Sullivans feel differently, we could mark something up and probably get the fence piece done, if that's where we're not. If not, we can do a continuance.
I'm gonna, I don't know if Jillian and Mike are on, I'm sure they're on there someplace. I think our biggest question would be is if we have a pool permit plan submitted to town hall. We're obviously going to do a fence. The question is it going to be in one of the options that have been discussed tonight? It's certainly going to be one of the options discussed tonight, right? So we wouldn't build the pool without it. So I didn't know if it would get held up someplace at town hall, and that would be the question. Would it be held up by Historic Districts Department if the final location of the front fence, we'll call it the south.
John, Board of Health would hold it up too.
Yeah. So whether or not we show it specifically in a location right now might be the question. I don't know that we'd be able to answer you back that we're going to take off part of the deck right now. If we said it would come somewhere between the front corner of the house, not the sunroom, but the corner where we showed it, and the existing and the proposed deck somewhere in there, I would say would be where we would likely want to have it, then somewhere in between those two locations. I don't know that the change to the porch itself is what we want, or what they would want, I would say. I don't know if that's helpful with Jillian.
At least what is shown on the screen right now in red would achieve the pool fencing function.
That pool's not there yet, right? You have to go build it?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it would be shown.
So the fencing's a long way off. You gotta get the pool.
No, they actually they need to show.
What?
They need to have a plan for the fence before they can get a permit for the pool to put the pool in.
Got it.
So even if it were
So I guess, can we, I mean, the Sullivans are on, so I don't know if they want to provide their feedback, if continuance or if there's a compromise tonight or not.
Yeah, Sarge?
I would love to, our earlier compromise of bringing it to the jut, that second stepped jut, and just allowing it to hide both the bulkhead and the condensers, I think will give the most aesthetic view from the outside, and will keep with the historic nature of hiding those kind of unsightly elements.
Right, so that's your preference would be, so your preference is something like this to, I think is.
As tight, yeah, as tight as we can, and of course, we'd be mindful of the bulkhead and the condensers. And our intention is to beautify the front of our house.
So there was, the other comment was the portion that runs across the front here, instead of having it like this, having it more of an open picket at the top, or switching to this kind of across the top, something to open it up a little bit more. Is that something that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Could we place a limit on the portion that's going to be solid, like a height limit, like, no more than 4 feet on the solid portion, even like that looks more like, it's a fifth open.
That would solve it. We typically go 4'6" and 1'6", Josh. I don't know how you feel about that, but I actually think the one at Montera, which was technically, that was originally done as the Blair's house. And that one adjacent to them at 24 middle, is that right? And it actually is more like 4 and 2. And I actually feel like it's not the greatest proportion. I feel like 4'6" and 1'6" is better. I don't know how you feel about that, but we tend to like 4.6 and 1.6 to total up to 6 feet.
John, can I ask you, is because it's blocking the pool,
Yeah.
is it wrong to have the 6-foot vertical cedar picket, like picket all the way up and down? Is that not allowed around a pool?
Oh, no, that's allowed because we're going to use that onto the left-hand side between the,
I think it's a balance of privacy, right?
yeah, it's a balance of privacy is right, Dan. That's what it is. It's a little more of a balance that way, I would say.
I think that one solves the problem a little bit.
Right, doesn't that solve the problem?
I feel like there's got to be some more compromising, maybe either the fence or the location, pushing it back or opening it up, something that allows the property to breathe, the historic nature of the rhythm of the properties in that middle street and the friendliness of the neighborhood.
Right. But if we're talking about virtually the same fence that's adjacent on the adjacent property that Josh had mentioned, that's board fence with a picket top.
Every circumstance is different.
Everyone's
We don't
different.
know the restraining factors on the other property. We don't know who approved that. We don't know when it was approved. We don't know.
Yeah, so I guess I'd ask the Sullivans the question: Are you opposed to the open cedar fence across the front, or are you guys wanting that privacy and feel like you need the 4-foot board?
I think we'd like to maintain some privacy on the Montero side, just for. But I think we are open to the vertical cedar on the front, or
Yeah, just across here.
yeah, even if we could make the gate doors the vertical piece, that could be nice too, so that at least there's some openness and it doesn't give that fortress feel.
You plan to sunbathe in the nude? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, jeez, Carol.
No, but you're welcome to come over for a cocktail. You're on the earlier.
Okay.
Okay, getting back on point. So it sounds like this is a direction that could be undertaken for the fence. It sounds like we're definitely going to continue for the asphalt driveway. I think there's some exploring to do on that. Sounds like that's not necessarily holding up the pool process. I think the deck is fine from everything we've heard. Slight preference from at least one committee member to go not Ipe. I don't.
With
I guess
that
a couple.
statement, that's just like a personal thing. I wouldn't hold it up if they want to do e-pay. That's their choice.
Yeah, I think
using my.
yeah, it sits so low and it's mostly in the back. I leave it open. I don't think that we need to be dictating that material.
Okay.
So those are the feedbacks. I'll ask, it's 7:30. I want to get to our next agenda item. I'll ask if anybody wants to make a motion. We can find out if anybody wants to make a motion on the revised versions that we talked about, which is approving the deck, approving a 6-foot high vertical board fence with lattice topper extending from the garage across the back of the property, and then down, and then it would be a 6-foot vertical cedar picket fence between the garage and the house and across the front. I don't know if anybody has an interest in making that motion, but if they do,
I need a
that would be a
site.
good time.
To confirm,
Maybe the Sullivans, and they need some time to talk about it a little bit.
What's that?
I think maybe the Sullivans and Sean need some time to discuss the pluses and minuses and just the things we've talked about before we make a motion. I would urge them to come back.
I think it might be possible for us to show the fence on a pool permit plan. We don't have to describe the type as long as it is 6 feet tall and meets requirements. And still, I believe that would still be able to work through town hall for permitting because, again, it's to Carol's point, we're not building that piece right now. And we know that we have to put a 6-foot fence that meets zoning. So we could probably show it.
I'm not hearing any objection to there being a fence that crosses that link. But and
Just where it
it would be
crosses.
far easier, more easier to approve it the farther back it was. But the fact of its existence, I think I'm hearing comfort with.
Right. Yeah, but understand. I think that we could probably still show that on our submittal plan that is the building permit plan, and still be coming back to you to finalize all the actual details of it. Even the location of it relative to where we're talking.
Yeah.
Okay, then we will continue this to the next meeting, and then I heard 2 committee members ask for a site visit, so Andrea, can you work to get that scheduled before our next meeting?
Oops.
I think we may have lost Andrea. Did we? Nope, she's around, but she's muted, but okay. So we will continue, and then Andrea Sullivan's and Sean will follow up with a site visit. So and we'll get you on the next agenda.
Terrific.
Right, thank
Any
you.
questions, Sullivan?
Oh, I unmuted myself. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm here. I will, I'll reach out to Sean to set up a site visit. So my
Okay.
apologies. Like I said, I've got one good eye. So
No
I can't
worries.
see a damn thing.
So,
Sean,
What is-
Sean and Sullivan,
what is that next hearing, Dan?
November 16th.
Okay.
Sullivan's and Sean, are you guys both good with our feedback and commentary? You know what we're kind of asking for you to explore?
Yeah, I think we can work with what you gave us.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Good night.
Good night.
All right, so our next agenda item is continuance, the Halversons, 32 Middle Street, for a 1.5 story garage, barn lean-to, and a link to the house and some hardscape improvements. So during our last meeting, our feedback for Mr. Papich and Sally, I'm going to do one at a time. So our feedback with Sean had to do with the grading, especially leading from the auto court down to the grassy area around the back of the garage, the number of steps, and then the impact on the old schoolhouse. So that was our feedback for Sean. And then our feedback for Sally had to do with the ridge height of the garage, a door that was on the end. We'd asked for some additional cut sheets on doors and windows to get some additional information on that. And it had to also, we'd asked for some information on some heights and from the grading, and then to look at the door for the lean-to shed area. So I think that summarizes it. So I don't want to go back to the whole packet because we all were here last time. So I just want to focus on the items that we really requested you to look at and provide some feedback and what you learned.
Sean, do you want to
Say-
start with the landscape, maybe best to do that?
And I can pull up my, Dan's gonna handle this. You tell me, Dan, how you want to do it.
Yeah, I can pull it up. That's fine.
So Sally and I got together and looked at all of this with your feedback. And there we go. So one of the things that we did that's different, as you come into the driveway, what you'll notice is the wall area. We had shown a low wall off of the far end of the garage originally. And we had it coming out and then returning back up into the hill there. And we removed that and handled that with grading down. And so that's gone. So the wall and the associated planting are gone. So we're able to handle that, just grading the slope along the side of that kind of what we'll call the shed part of the carriage house. And then so if there was ever kind of any kind of some interference to the old schoolhouse, whether it be shrubs or anything that kind of caught your attention off the back corner of the shed portion of the proposed carriage house, that's gone now. The other element that is different on this plan is there was a parking area that was off to, now on the page, it's off to the right. So there was a, like a crushed stone parking area off to the right-hand side of the auto court, getting up a little bit into there, not too far, but it was getting into there. And instead of doing that, we pulled that away. We expanded the auto court by just a little, but we got rid of that little parking area. And so if you look at the dash line that's in there, there is a on the right-hand side of where we're showing the auto court, which is about, let's call it, it's about 8 feet over. That's where the existing asphalt is right now, that little dash line you see. So we're actually taking away asphalt there and allowing there to be more lawn area in the foreground schoolhouse, the old school. So those are the two major changes that we made on the plan.
Great. Sally, do you want to roll into feedback that you have for us?
Sure. I think we included window cuts in here. They're Marvin simulated divided light wood windows. We included in the package, those would be 5/8 inch muntins to match the rest of the house. I think you asked about cut sheets on garage doors. So this is a custom garage door company. And then I gave you a picture of a project that we've done with a similar door with lights. The Howersons did, like the windows on the top, which we had drawn, and then V-groove. One of the things that came up in the meeting is that the link on the garage seemed large, and again, we had to reduce the door width so that it's not considered a garage door. So that next picture is actually a link that's exactly 10 feet with this 6-foot door. So we've reduced that like you requested. We just included some details here, not always just everybody do that. But, and then I think Catherine had a question about the door going into the garage from the second floor. And I took this picture only because I thought it was interesting that when you put a screen door on it, which you probably would have, it just becomes dark. So you don't quite know if it's a window or a door. I mean, this is right down the street, so they have a very similar condition with the railing, connecting both of them. The next, I took a picture of the schoolhouse from the street, and that really is, as we all said, that's the focus of what we're trying to preserve. I know that there's some new landscaping that's going to go in. I mean, the front has been redone, but that portion to the left of that almost extended sunroom there is going to get cut down. Sean can speak to that, but I thought it was good to, the next, the rendering there is actually, I'm almost standing in the Monteros. I mean, I'm kind of way over. It's not, unless you were really walking on the sidewalk, that's sort of what you'd see. But the garage is, right now is a foot lower than the house, the ridge. I mean, we could lower it maybe another foot, but I didn't know if when I went around town and looked at other barns, we have a small knee wall inside. It's only 2 feet. And the ridge, the pitch of the garage is 40 degrees, which is a pretty normal pitch. When you start getting lower than that, they all kind of look a little squat. Like I say, I could lower it it's a foot lower than the house. I could lower it about another foot before it starts impacting the doors and the windows that we had proposed on the end wall. If you look at A2.2, you can see that it is lower than the, if you keep going there, you can, on the bottom, the proposed rear elevation, you can see that it is lower than the roof. But if I start lowering it too much more, it starts impacting windows, and also impacts when you look at the section, the next sheet, it does impact trying to get into the door. And honestly, the door and the window kind of almost have to be where they are because we've got existing doors on the mudroom on the first floor, existing doors on the second floor, and that door going in right there where it says door with screen is about where it kind of has to be to get everything to work. It's a jigsaw puzzle of getting stairs up in the garage, getting over from the second floor. So again, we could lower it about a foot, but it's quite shallow now, believe it or not, compared to so many of the barns around town. And we thought that it just, felt right for the space. So, but hopefully we addressed all the cut sheets and things and details that you were after.
Thanks, Sally. Eric, you're right in front of me, so I'll go start with you.
I didn't have a strong opinion on the landscape changes last time, so I'm comfortable with the changes this time. I do think the garage feels big just because the house is big. I think if this garage was here with a smaller house, we might be having a different conversation, but it's just like a large massing, so it keeps talking. I'm just kind of eyeballing right now to see if, I totally trust Sally and her expertise. I'm just seeing if there's opportunities to lower it. And I think I agree with her. The second floor, I don't see how you could really have it be usable. Maybe you could lower the floor to floor height on the first floor, but then you have issues stepping up to the main building and the stairwell up there. So I see all the challenges and I'm sympathetic, and I don't know if I have a great answer right now.
Carol, do you have any comments?
I have a couple little things. What would happen if there were no second door coming out of the second floor of the barn? If the people had to go from the top floor, playroom, bedroom, whatever that's going to be, down the stairs internally and then out the door at ground level, would that be a terrible loss? Do they have to go out that level and into the house upstairs?
Well, you'd probably end up with a window anyway. So from the street, you won't know if it's a door or a window, really. I mean, we would probably do 2 windows on the end there.
I'm not worried about doors and windows. I just mean it's the second level. We could then take the railing. It would look just like a window sitting there, and there'd be an overhang for crossing into the house. Why is it be 2 layers?
Well, there's a door from the second floor already, and there was a deck out there. So it was existing, and all we've done is made that existing deck a little bit longer. That was there when the shafters, we did the addition for the shafters. There was a little balcony from the master bedroom, and it stuck out about 6 feet. So all we're doing is expanding that deck that had a railing on it. From
now you're connecting it to a barn.
Yeah, but it's just
bedroom,
it's very similar to the Ashers, which is right down the street, which I think is very charming.
Can't do that. You can't do that. Each house is different. We consider each one differently.
Yeah, but I mean, it's precedent. So, you see other things that I personally think the Ashers is very charming. So I don't think it's a bad example. But
okay, focused on this house. I'm just wondering if that wouldn't solve a lot of problems. There'd be no railing above the roof line.
But then it would be just a flat roof. I think that would, again, there's railing there now. So we're just extending it,
I actually find the railing kind of charming. It's more the back garage, just scale for me. But, and again, I'm sympathetic on the
rule that we've always tried to enforce, which is that the house doesn't connect to the barn. The barn had stinky animals in it. People didn't want to smell that all the time. You walked from your house out to your barn. It's the way most of the old houses are done. And now we're slowly starting to connect, and there's another bedroom with another bathroom, and we're just extending the houses back further. Wow, I really don't like that.
There is a door there now. Like I said, there's an existing door from the second floor that comes right out on that same deck that same height of the deck.
Yeah.
And it was a deck, it wasn't connecting up to another house, another barn or structure.
Right, right. But I mean,
Okay. Carol, do you have any other comments?
One teeny weeny little one, there are conflicting pictures. One shows the little lean-to behind the barn, the very last thing. Where'd it go? The picture of the front of the barns, looking into the parking area.
Let's see. Not this one.
I didn't know that. There it is. Whoop, you passed it.
This one?
Doesn't matter. I can just tell you one picture, not this one, has a picture of a lantern hanging up over a barn door.
mhm.
And this house was built way, 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 way long before electricity. So if you have a like that, if you do it this way, that's great because
Yeah.
the person would have hung up the lantern with a candle in it or whatever it was. The one that has it up over the door says 19th, 20th century. It doesn't say.
Yeah.
So I love this, whatever this is.
Mhm. Okay.
So it's 2.2. It's this right here.
Yeah, so we would just move that lantern over to the left side of the door.
Well, the lighting that you show, to the extent that it's being used outside,
Yeah,
ones that look like lanterns seem very appropriate. The ones that look like 19th, 20th century would have had to have a bulb. There's no way that's a
Hmm.
candle or gas or anything but a bulb inside. So it says what century you're in. I'd
Yeah.
love to see those anywhere on the outside of the house. You do it on the inside.
Yeah, I guess that's a fundamental question. Like this is meant to be a complementary building. We know it's not a barn. We know it's not original. It's meant to be sensitive in its addition. Are we meant to imitate with everything? I mean, that's kind of my,
We debate that all the time, don't we?
yeah. So
I
that's,
like
I don't know,
to match
that's,
it, but, you know,
that's just my kind of 2 cents on, connecting and things like that, where, I don't think anybody would drive by and say, oh, that's an old barn that they then connected, right? That's, a garage that they built that was sensitive that they attached, just my 2 thoughts. But Catherine, you're up next.
Hey, thanks. Hey, I just want to start out saying that Sally and Sean both do beautiful work.
Yep.
It's gorgeous. And it's obviously often hard to interpret drawings. And so just know that I appreciate, the hard work you do. And I think both of you do beautiful work. I still am a little concerned about the grade change. There was a drawing and an actual photograph side by side or on one on top of the other. And I'm curious to know how much the grade is actually coming up on this garage, because it is almost looking like a flat lot. In the there's a photograph and a drawing, a sketch that Sally had done, one on top of the other.
Oh, that page.
Daniel, there.
Yeah.
And it's really, in terms of perspective, the cars right now are sunken down. You can hardly see them. And in Sally's drawing, I'm sure there's a little creative license here, but
We try not to.
it's a flattened lot, essentially. And if you look to the comparative drawings on the right side of the house, you can see the grade change because there's a huge slab of the side of the garage on the right, on the side we don't really see from the street, but you can see there's a massive grade change. So if Sean has actual numbers about how high the grade is coming up from what it is currently, and then because it has to be quite substantial to get the barn to be a foot lower than the house, it's a huge grade change.
It's actually about 2.5 feet lower. The slab to the first floor is 4 steps. So
but if you have the rear picture of the garage, wasn't there of the rear picture of the mudroom?
So
there's 7 steps from the back of the mudroom, or 6 steps from the back of the mudroom down to the.
Yeah, so now we have 4. We've raised it, so we have 4 steps from the garage slab to the first floor is 4 steps.
So
it says it right here. It's 2.3 feet, right? Because the auto court right? If you're looking at the angle you're looking at it from, Catherine, is across here.
Yeah.
We're going from 96.7 to 99. It's 2.3 feet.
2.3 feet. I guess I just am concerned it changes it's a significant change.
That's a very deep location too, because that really dips down. There's a catch basin sitting really low in that area, so it really does dip down substantially in that part, Catherine. So we will still have our catch basin reset. We didn't want it to be a situation with water coming in, directing water. So we always have the garage pitch out from the garage, so we're running water, drainage water, stormwater away from the garage. So we think that coming from at the house, coming from 6 steps to 4 is not a huge amount. It might seem like it, but it's a real bowl that's set in there, and it's set very low. So we're just trying to correct also some grading that wasn't done appropriately when they did the driveway work originally, and any of the other walkway work originally at the back part of the property, when they weren't really considering that for a garage necessarily. I mean, they had talked about garage before, but they hadn't really. Yeah.
So Sean, this would be in terms of this area. So it's like, this is coming up about a 1.3, this is 2.3. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is dipping as it goes back, it dips down. So you're kind of raising this a foot and grading this up a little flatter for parking.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think you offer a huge view to the schoolhouse, and that even with the foreground getting larger, the lawn area getting larger, we think is a victory there too. And there's a big victory. Really, we're setting the driveway pretty much on the footprint that it is now in the auto court. It's a little bit shy. Doesn't go as far out to the schoolhouse as it does now. We're squaring it up.
Any other questions or comments, Catherine?
No, I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I'm the only one babysitting this ancient dog who I have to let out, so I'm sorry.
I'll come back to you later. Justin, do you have any comments?
I guess I don't, but I'll say I recognize the challenge of the additional, volume, the connectedness, and but I think at the end of it, it feels like an appropriate proposal.
Back.
Do you have anything else, Catherine?
I would love to see that ridge line come down a foot if it's possible.
Okay. Anything else
to diminish it? Nope, nothing after that.
Okay, Josh.
The only thing that I think we haven't mentioned tonight in terms of a change in the plan is the plan we saw before didn't have landscaping in front of the old schoolhouse, and I think this one.
Thank you.
I think this one does show that. So I don't know if that's an important issue for anybody.
Yes.
But in general, I think I don't think that we need to create a false, a faux historicity with projects. I think that new additions need to be sympathetic to existing, architecture in kind of a critical mass of, massing design materials. And I think this proposed addition does that. I think that it tells a very nice story of the evolution of this house. I think that the garage, proposed garage, is set off from the house in a way that helps to tell that story and break up the size. I originally was opposed to the or skeptical about the railing and the walkway out to the garage. However, I realize I'm a convert, and I also realize how useful it would be to be able to, walk from the master bedroom to an exercise room every day. I would probably actually use it if I didn't have to go down 3 floors like I do now. So I think it's a good design, and I appreciate the work that that Sally and Sean have done with us on it.
Thank you.
Steve, you going 3 for 3? All right, good. So yeah, the only 2 comments I had was, it wasn't called out. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but was there intent to add landscaping in front of the schoolhouse?
Not necessarily. If anything, it's a low ground cover. We could keep it. I don't know if that's something that you guys would be opposed to or not. We don't have strong feelings about it, to be honest, either way.
I'd really like to just preserve it as is, because it sits up on the knoll. It's as is, and really let it speak its own story. I may have missed this last time, so apologies. It caught my eye this time though. I didn't catch the entry gate and the granite piers at the driveway. I didn't know if there's any strong opinions or feelings from the commission on that.
Those have been approved on for the first project.
Okay, I couldn't remember. All right, never mind, Sean. Sorry.
That we had a side terrace in a wall there, and we actually since then have reduced the size of that side terrace. It's actually similar size to what it is today. It's just that old beech tree is gone now, and we're kind of filling out the square because the old beech tree died a few years ago. So
No, I'm saying the driveway entry gate. Was that approved before?
Yeah, that was on the.
Okay.
We have
never mind then.
You have the elevation of the entry gate that would be level with the fence. We had talked to Justin and I think we talked a little bit on that. I don't know if that was back in August, maybe in August. And we have
That's fine then. I just didn't remember it, so sorry about that. Okay, so it sounds like from what's on the plans, we'd like to see no plantings or additions leaving the old school as is, and then dropping the ridge line, about a foot, as Sally had mentioned. I think those are the biggest things I heard back. I don't know if the Halversons are amenable to both of those items.
Daniel, what about the barn wheel runs granite planks in front of the schoolhouse? Was that an original approved plan?
We had that on a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had that on.
In the picture.
Yep, we had on the original.
Shows it.
Yeah.
What it looks like.
There's some pieces of granite in the picture. But in the original plan, we had that. We also had a little bed edge in front of it, but that would more or less just keep the mowers off of the edge of the barn, or of the schoolhouse. I'll call that schoolhouse.
I'm personally not opposed to the granite wheel runs, but happy to hear other people's comments.
It'd be antique granite.
I just wanted to bring it out in case no one noticed.
Okay. So Halversons, are you guys amenable to both those changes?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's what I've heard. Unless there's more discussion, I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Eric.
I'm just trying to get my bearings of what we agreed upon, so feel free to jump in if I miss something. I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for 32 Middle Street located in the Hingham Center Local Historic District per the plans dated 11 October 2023. Work to include a 2-car garage and covered vestibule and porch off the east elevation of the existing house. The garage will be 2 stories for 2 bays and 1-story salt box style for the storage bay with French doors. South elevation of garage to include 3/4 width dormer. Hardscape elements include granite and bluestone patio, paving, and auto court, with the modification of dropping the marked elevation 1 foot. And was there anything else we do? I'm trying to. Is that it?
Shrubbery in front of the old schoolhouse.
Yeah, and not to add the shrubbery in front of the old schoolhouse, but the hardscape rail track pavers are acceptable.
And are we leaving the lighting? I thought there were only certain lights that were approved for historic districts. Am I wrong on that, Andrea? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. The lanterns are whatever is appropriate for the period of the house. And I think, what Sally has there would be fine. I think Carol had a comment about the position, but other than that.
So we'll change that.
Okay, if the position changes, would it be a lantern style versus the?
It would just be similar to the rest of them, maybe a little
Okay.
smaller than the two that would be on the main barn garage, if you will. Yeah.
Okay, so adding the addition of the change to the lantern on the salt box style part of the garage to a lantern style.
And the garage doors that Sally has proposed,
Yep, they're in the cut sheets.
they're on the cut sheets, fine.
Yep. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All right. Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Eric, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
It's an aye for me. So thank you for
Okay.
the revisions. Thank you for working with us, being part of the process. It's very much appreciated. So thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. I hope you're happy.
Thank you. We are. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
You have two good people working for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bye.
All right, so the next item is items I didn't anticipate, that was not anticipated in 48 hours. I don't think we have any, Andrea.
No, I don't think so.
All right, then we're gonna tackle meeting minutes, and I have them, and I'm gonna guess Justin.
Anybody
is
want to shoot
very-
me? I'm sorry.
No, and actually, I'm
Robin,
gonna
is
just,
our Robin? Robin, is
Our-
that our Robin here?
that is our Robin that I invited. So
Yay! Hi, Robin.
Robin's been listening in case our recording didn't work tonight, that she was able to take most of the meeting minutes. So
Oh, that's
Oh,
very
God.
nice. Thank you, Robin.
Robin
Yes,
is
we
a
love her.
former, she's a
Robin
former
is doing
colleague of mine, and she's great. And,
She is.
So thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
My pleasure.
So I'm gonna guess that Justin went through these with a fine tooth comb and might have some small typos for me. Because we all have our strengths. So I'm just gonna go through one at a time with the 16th. I can make changes as we go if there are any. If not, it would be great to get some approved. So February 16th, 2023 meeting. Our dear old friend Tracy was still the chair back then. Any comments or edits to these meeting minutes?
I thought those looked good.
Great. Is that somebody that wants to make a motion then?
I can't really remember how to make a motion on the minutes.
Okay. I'll draft that up next time. I
You
move
just
to make
like
a,
to approve.
yep.
I move to
make
approve.
it. Okay, that works. Is there a second? You have to just say the date. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as presented February 16th.
As presented February
2023.
16th, 2023.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Great, thank you, Carol. Any discussion? Great. Justin, how do you vote?
I think I should have.
Oh, you weren't there, sorry.
I wasn't there.
Sorry, Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
I'm gonna run through the other ones just because they're gonna be abstentions. Oh, actually, sorry, Mary Ann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Eric, how do you vote?
Aye.
Josh, I assume you're abstaining,
Yes.
and it is an aye for me, so great. February 16th meeting minutes, done.
Woo.
Yay.
Next up is March 16th. Any comments? All right. Anybody want to make a motion?
Catherine, you did well the last.
I mean, come on, guys.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I move. I can't even remember what to say. I'm
to
still
approve the minutes of.
approve the minutes of March 16th, 2023. Sorry, I'm still jet lagged from
As
my
written.
and I'm
As
sick.
written.
As written.
Seconded.
All right. Any discussion? Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Marianne, how do you vote? Marianne?
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Josh, how do you vote?
Aye.
An aye for me, and Carol? You're
Aye.
abstaining? You weren't there.
Abstaining.
Justin?
Abstain.
And thank you. Carol?
Aye. Abstaining.
You weren't there. You weren't
Yeah.
there. Thanks.
But I like it anyway, so that's okay.
Okay. Eric?
Abstaining.
Thank you.
She's not going to
All
vote
right.
for it, but she's supportive of it.
Yes.
That's good.
All right. Next up is April 27th. Any comments?
Right. Have I not shown up at any meetings?
Apparently. I think this is the one that you texted me that you weren't allowed on Zoom because you were in France.
I think
Yes, that could be. Yes, you tried.
Yeah. Say, what's your sweet trade deal?
Any comments or motion?
I move to accept them.
Gotta give me a date.
After April 22nd, 2023.
27.
No, wrong. 27.
27.
I'm gonna resign as commissioner just so I can go back to making motions.
I don't make motions sometimes because I don't know if I am allowed to make a motion as a non-voting member. So
Actually, you're not. That's true.
Yeah, you're not.
Unless you're voting at the time.
Yeah. All right. So that was a motion to approve the meeting minutes as presented for April 27th, 2023 by Carol. Do we have a second?
Second.
That's Catherine seconding it. Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Marianne, how do you vote?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Josh?
aye.
I abstain. And Justin?
I abstain.
Great.
Great.
And we have one more.
Yay. May.
May 27th. A momentous day in our meeting minutes. Anybody wish to make comment or make a motion?
I will make a motion to forward the meeting minutes from May 25th, 2023.
To forward them?
Yeah, who are we sending them to?
I mean,
me to send-
whatever. You know what I mean?
Through.
Okay.
We have Catherine making a motion to approve
I'm
the meeting
sick.
minutes for May 25th, 2023 with a second by
Justin.
Justin.
Yay.
Thank you. Catherine, how do you vote?
Hollywood Squares. Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Miss Marianne,
Aye.
and it's a aye for me and Josh.
I abstain.
Great, thank you. All right, we are
Wow.
getting
Yeah, I was gonna say she's right. Catherine, it's like Hollywood Squares.
I actually read the minutes too.
Now, when do we get the rest? When do the rest come in?
So we got some work to do because we're missing some recordings, and
no, you were brilliant. I found
them?
them. Yes.
Good.
The only one we're missing, and I'll forward them to Robin tomorrow. But the only one we're really missing is the one from June, and that's where I panicked and just cut off the meeting because we had the Zoom bomber. Remember?
Yeah. So Andrea and I will work to write those. I have some notes I started jotting down.
So that was my fault.
Yeah. So Andrea and I will cobble those together, but Robin can get us caught up on the others and tonight, and we'll be back on track.
Then we're gonna have to recruit Charles Nelson Riley as a commissioner to complete the Hollywood.
I don't
Square.
mean to press these, but I have to confess, I don't remember back this far. So I need minutes done the minute we say them and get them out.
Well, it would, now we have Robin, so we can do that. Now we have Robin, so we can do that.
Great.
Thank God.
So much.
Oh, so I have a question then. Would you prefer I do tonight's before I get started on the backlog?
Sure.
No.
And
Well, the
take
first-
Andrea, yeah, take Andrea's advice on that. I think it's good. I think you have a month, you'll get them all to us. However you want to do them, Rob. I think you'll get to the
Yeah,
other
really.
ones also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Robin.
you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. It's also
All
interesting.
right.
Thank you.
All right, so
Dinner
I don't
time.
have anything. I don't have anything else. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn until our next
move
meeting
to
on
adjourn.
11/16th, and Andrea will follow up with a meeting date to go to 20 Middle Street.
And
Yes.
we haven't set a date for our business meeting yet.
No.
Okay.
I forward it.
I'm going to accept that as a motion. Catherine, how do you vote? No, I need a second on that adjourning though.
I forwarded it, so I can't second it.
That's
Second it.
Thank you. Josh,
Aye.
Eric, Mary Ann, Catherine, Carol,
Yes,
Justin.
I.
Aye. Thank you all.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
All
And
right.
we'll see
Good
you
night.
in
Thank you,
a month.
everyone.
Thank you for your hard work,
Wonderful.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.